Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter, you are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro, let's get it. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop.
Welcome everybody to this special edition of the, I guess we're gonna be called this Chop Shop After Dark. Listen, I'm gonna show you somebody in just a second. Just a second, hold tight. Hold tight. Let's get this thing right. 1 second. And we're getting this thing right for you guys. And there we go. Now, you guys know I'm not. Robert Haller gets all the props. He does this stuff with his left hand, with his right hand, with his pinky finger. So now here we go. I was minding my business date night. I got somebody just ringing me off the hook, just weighing me out on text messages. Asking me about the state tournament and what they teams in DFW gonna do to our teams down here from Greater Houston. Claiming that territorially, that some of them teams shouldn't even be called part of Houston. Boy, you should have saw how fast I drove that car back to the house. Sandra, she grabbing her seatbelt. She sitting there, what's wrong? I said, we got to get on. We took the food to go. I got 4 clusters of crabs sitting in the house. But boy, y'all guess who I'm about to bring y'all, who this person is. He said he got something to say, and I got something to say back. We ain't gonna be long. I see you up in there. Rod Wells, Pete E., Panther Network, Jacob Webb. Y'all share this thing right now. Share it right now. Here we come. Bingo. I got with y'all, I got Snoop Johnson. Royce Snoop Johnson. Guys, he done been at this stage before. He done that. He even know how it feel to get a title stripped from him. He even know how it feel to let a kid hit a half-court shot in 2002 from San Antonio J. See, if you say San Antonio, Snoop get the jitter. He get the what they call it? He get the jukes. He get the shakes. If I say San Antonio 2002, what happened? What happened, Snoop, on that year? What happened?
Especially when you say San Antonio J. like when you say San Antonio J, it do something to me.
Say, Snoop, I'm in the state. Give me your resume. How many times you been to the state tournament? Before we even get started, let's give you your props. Why you still calm right now?
Oh man, hey, as a head coach, I coached Kimball High School for 14 years, and we played the state championship game 7. So we 50% on getting to the title game, and we won 3. So we more like LeBron. We ain't like MJ. We more like LeBron. We ain't undefeated. We ain't undefeated at the state, But we got there with some teams that we supposed to got there with and won it, and we got there with some teams that didn't have no business getting there, but they wanted it more than the other team, and they helped me get there. So we know that we like that feeling, and we knew that feeling.
Your best team ever was when?
Whew, man. I think my best team had to be the year. I think it was 2011 with Jerry Henry, Jordan Williams, Jalen Jones, Shannon Lilly, David Tucker. We had 2 guards in the backcourt that been winning together since they was in the 6th grade, and we had a front line. We had a front line like the biggest front line I ever had at Kemp. Like we had one of those front lines like some of those guys we used to playing against. We had a D1 front line, you know. Where those guys, those guys are still playing ball right now.
So your best team ever was 2011.
Well, I just have to say that. I mean, I coached some really good teams. I mean, as far as like chemistry. I mean, just
no. I'm saying your best one. That's the one you put your hat on.
This team right here, I feel like we can line up 100 times, and we probably could win 100 times. You know, we had Jalen Jones was on that team, and Jalen Jones, he didn't get cleared to Christmas, and when he got cleared, we didn't lose no more games. We didn't lose no more games. We went over to the Sugar Bowl Classic with you and Glenn's guy over there, and with Rico Gathers, and we went out there and quieted the crowd. Like that team won games, and it wasn't even close. It was like the state was boring. The state Final Four was boring. You know what I'm saying? We knew we was gonna win, and we won.
But in 2011, that's 1 year after Yates captivated the world or the United States. That was on Lancaster. Now that year at the
Yates went back to back because they beat us.
09 and 010.
Yeah.
Right. Now, but in 2011, the team that left there that captivated all of the coverage at the end of going into it and leaving and merging up out of it was Flower Mound Marcus with Marcus Smart, Phil Forte, and those guys.
Yes.
They stole all your thunder. How y'all let that happen? That's your best team ever.
They didn't play against that team.
I know that's different classifications, but they stole all the thunder of the state tournament.
Well, the one thing about the state, I mean, you've been there. The state likes a good underdog, a new story. I took some teams down the state, and I've been the villain, but I've had some teams to where, like in 09, people were actually pulling for us to beat Yates. We didn't know what that feeling was like. We always we're always the villain, where people looking at Kimball for lose. So it's like when Flower Mound Marcus came onto the scene, that was a new kid on the block. And people love to see that. Plus with Flower Mound Marcus, with Marcus Smart and Phil Forte, you gotta love how they play. You get to Austin and San Antonio, you got some real basketball fans down there. So they got an appreciation for Greg White's team and Yates. They love seeing TJ Ford and Ronnie Courtney's team. That was entertainment. When a couple of my teams went down there, especially like those Keith Frazier teams where people they love entertainment, man. It's just great basketball. And Flower Mound Marcus was one of those teams where, you got a guy like Phil Forte letting the ball go from all over the place, Marcus Smart playing his heart out, they think people are fans of stuff like that. They fans of stuff like that. Think about people were literally pulling for Kendrick Perkins and Boutte them to lose. When Boutte spread it out, go four corners, Big Kendrick get to sit in the middle, and people get to booing and stuff like that. All Boutte was doing was, hey, let me put this necklace around my neck.
Well, at that time, that was back in 03 when they were rooting for them to lose, but they had and they had won it in 2001 when Kendrick was a sophomore. So in 03 was that year where Chris Bosh. No, I'll take that back. Chris Bosh was 02. They went back and they played against Chris Bosh, and then Chris Bosh got the best of Kendrick, and they beat Beaumont Ozen, and had the young fella that went to SMU. Hopkins was on that team for Dallas Lincoln back then, and most of the fans were actually rooting for Byron Eden. Was a young fella on that team. I think he might have been ninth grade or something by then, right? Came out in 04. He was class of
Yep.
04. Now,
Yeah.
but the fans were so, Beaumont Ozen had antagonized, I don't know how, I guess because Butte's approach as a coach and his scowl got the folk, but they were rooting absolutely against Beaumont Ozen. Unless you was from Beaumont, vocally in the crowd, it felt like the whole, I mean, that was back in Austin, and you're saying people that were never, well, we hope one day it can be duplicated. But in the near future, there will be no time that the ambiance and you guys, I can't even hardly explain to you. That's a whole nother show to explain to you guys, you young fellas, how it was in the state of Texas back then with basketball. Guys from Dallas wanted to meet up. They wanted to compete. They wanted to get it on. And if nothing else, there was one place. And if you got, either you got validated or you didn't. And if you didn't, you went your ass home and you got better. But if you were validated, then University of Texas had an elite camp. That was the proving ground. If you were one amongst those guys, they invited you there. And at the end of the camp, they picked a team of players from the campers would play against the University of Texas players. And that's when Reality Check 101 would get in full blast, because every single year that I remember, Snoop, the University of Texas would open up a can of whoopers on all of those future All-Americans, future McDonald All-Americans, future pros. They would get their snot knocked out of their nose.
Hey, when we checked earlier, you didn't tell me that you had a sermon. You didn't tell me you was preaching tonight. Because you are preaching the Texas basketball gospel.
So we're going to tabulate that and put that to the side. Now we know we got a whole nother show to take a people. We're going to call it Blast to the Past. And and on that show, we were invited. We'll pick one night in a couple of weeks after we get done with after I recover from the spring icebreaker and from the state tournament. And we're going to talk. And invite, it'll be, listen, if you ain't an old head, you ain't need to be a part of it. We're going to let old heads come in, and I have the other line set up, and they can call in and give their best moments of yesteryear. We're talking 20 years back plus. That's what we're going to go with. And that's going to be straightforward. And we need to invite some of the young guys. That way they can hear how it was. They really don't know. And it's not the saying this is how it should be now, just so that they can embrace it and be able to tell some of the stories more accurately to their people and their generation as they move forward. Otherwise, the history will be left behind if and when we pass away. You guys got to understand. That's the only reason. Now, we came in for the night.
I'm going to tell you something, though, Jeff. I'm going to tell you something because, like you've been on this side of basketball. I'm off and on. I'm high school, you see it one way. Then you go to college, you see it another way. But when you on the grassroots, the recruiting service, event side of it, you see it every way. And I'm just telling you, man, it's some good young coaches, man. It is some good young coaches. There's some old throwback coaches. I'm gonna tell you this. This is what's going on right now. You got some older coaches, and you got some older folks. It's just like the NBA, man. It's just like the NBA. We want to hold these young guys back like they don't know, but these guys, they're us. When you go see these guys, they got that same energy. They're us. Talk about how the game is changing, but the game is changing with some of us older guys that's made men that we want to just sit on that. We want to sit on that throne and just go off of our past history and that we're made men. Okay, that's in stone. That's in stone. You got to be a guy like Ronnie Courtney. Ronnie Courtney still got that juice, man. He still, I was really pulling for him. Roddy Courtney got that juice still. He still got that juice, man. I mean, and you know, you gotta, you know, it's some younger guys that every time I go in the gym and watch some of these guys, they remind me of what we were, you know. And the thing about it, they want to do it the right way, but you know, it's just like those older NBA guys, man. We you know, we trying to down what they doing, and we trying to make it look like what we did back in the day is totally different than what they did. I mean, now it's changing a whole lot of things, NIL and transfer portal, and we didn't deal with what we got. I mean, you know, so it is some things that we, you know, some fundamental things that we did coming up, that you did coming up, that you know, we got the best of both worlds. We got the old school, and we walked it into the new school. You know, and transform. You know, but we can't ignore and take away some great things, man. That a lot of these young guys are doing for grassroots basketball in Texas. And the thing we got to do is instead of like, I don't want to say down them, because ain't nobody downing nobody, but instead of kind of holding them back, you know, we need to embrace the fact that, dude, you know, these people looking up to us. They trying to be us, and we won't let them do it. Like, you know, I'm just real talk. You know, real talk. It's some, like, the reason Jimmy Hicks is steady growing is because there's a market slump. Because there's the honest. And instead of Jimmy Hicks being comfortable, Jimmy Hicks got to stay on the gas. You know, and now your brand has grown just way, you know, out of this world, because you steady your hunger and that work ethic. You know, you like Ronnie Courtney. You know, Ronnie Courtney ain't comfortable. He chasing what he chasing the same thing he was chasing with TJ Ford. He chasing it. You know, like. So he's supposed to keep coaching, just like Robert Hughes. You keep coaching. When you chasing that thing, man, you know, you got that drive and that hunger to do that. You chase it and keep going. But if you're just sitting on the job and you just want everybody to run around and just talk about what we used to do and this, that, and that, then, you know, we holding the game back. And I'm just telling you, it's a lot of dudes that's sitting on some of these guys' benches that just need their opportunity, and watch where the game goes. Watch where the game go. You know, that's the part. It ain't these young guys. It's not these young guys. It's some of the older guys just sitting on it, just talking about how the game is changing and what these young guys are doing. These young guys, they are imitating and emulate what they saw. They're imitating the Roddy Courtney's down there. They're imitating the Goree Johnsons and the Robert Hugheses, the James May. I mean, they imitate those guys. And if we get out of the way, they're going to go to another level. Look at Mobley, man. You know, look at Mobley down there. Mobley is a star. You know, he is a star. Mobley did it, dominated the 3A level. Everybody said that's 3A. You know, and Mobley goes down to Houston and takes a team they can't see the playoffs. I saw that team last year. And now they're a team that people are calling to come play in the tournaments. Like, you know, I mean, you gotta let these guys go and do it, man, and just embrace it and nurture it and watch what the game does, man. You know, the things we've done is set in stone. You know, it ain't going nowhere. But if we don't embrace it and help continue to grow it instead of holding it back, Texas basketball gonna take a big hit. I mean, that's why these kids right now leaving Texas and they going to Link Prep, Mount Verdi, and all that, because we're continuing telling these parents that basketball has changed in Texas. Like we making it like it's going backwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, these dudes might get in the McDonald's All-American game in some of these places if they don't come to the Hoop Fest. You know, they can run all over the country. If they don't go to the Spring Icebreaker, they might not get to the NBA camp. They might not get a chance for the Nike people to come in and see them firsthand. I mean, like, we know where we know the backroom conversation. They don't understand it. You know, they chasing something These parents are chasing something that we haven't done a great job of explaining to them. Period. All we telling them is that the grassroots coaches are changing. They don't know what they're doing. We're the high school coaches are changing. We're sending the parents away. We're sending the parents away. Instead of embracing it, that Texas basketball is the best thing moving. It's the best thing moving, you know. And once we embrace that, man, you know, and embrace these young guys, like when I came through at first, you know, I wasn't embraced. I wasn't embraced. You know what I'm saying? Everybody talked about everything besides everything. They talked about everything about me except for my coach. Think about it. They talked about Snoop don't have a degree. Snoop not certified. You know. You ain't never heard nobody say Snoop couldn't coach. So I'm saying like it's the same thing with these young guys coming up now. It's like, you know, we not giving them their flowers and embracing them because it's like if we embrace them, it takes away from what we were and what we did. We a part of history, and we make us some more history if we want to be in the game. But if you just go sit on the throne, then guess what? You part of history. Snoop Johnson is a part of just Texas high school basketball history. I'm not adding no more to it on the coach on that side of it. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm embracing the greatness that I'm seeing in front of us with guys like Antoine Thompson from Stony Point. I'm excited to go see him coach. You know what I'm saying? You know, he reminds me of what we were, you know, and what some of these guys continue to be. He reminds me of, you know, Brandon Thomas. These dudes are goats, man. These dudes are walking goats right now. He's like Patrick. Brandon Thomas is like Patrick Mahomes. He don't have to coach another year and he's a Hall of Famer. But guess what? He add to it. He got a chance to go for number 4. And he's young. You know? So it's great in front of us, man.
So now speaking of Fate family, they're the favorite in 4A. Mm-hmm. Earlier today we had a conversation with Neiman Ford, the head girls basketball coach of the state champion Duncanville Pantherettes in the Class 6A. Yeah. And he acknowledged that Fate family is indeed the favorite. They're his pick for 4A. Yeah. And I mentioned to him, I say, well, Coach Ford, have there ever been a time where you've been to the state tournament and that was a team that was heavily favored and they ended up not winning? That has happened quite a number of years throughout the state tournament. A team walking there, everybody's going to put their right pocket on them. But, understand, but on paper and based on their resume, if you're looking at the wins and losses, Fate family has the most losses out of all the teams at the state tournament, period, regardless of classification. Mm-hmm. However, it goes to show you that the strength of schedule and those losses, if any of those other teams in the state had played most of those teams that attributed to those 11 plus losses, they would have probably got an L as well. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't get. However, here's why I'm bringing this up, Snoop, is that there's a team down a few miles, about 70 miles southeast of Houston, called Sealsby High School.
Yes, sir.
Now they've been there 3 of these past 4 years.
That's right.
These same kids, see, Fate family's team has been there all them years, but it wasn't necessarily the same team. Some kids, the core was there when they were in the 9th grade, but this team, this Sealsby team, has been there in the 9th grade when they upset a team from Jack Yates High School that featured 2 twin towers in the middle, 2 Africans, and a pair of Division I guards. Got upset by these Sealsby Tigers when they were in the 9th grade, And Silsby was so happy because Yates, they were freshmen. They didn't know how to take it and leave it there and go to the next one, and ended up getting upset by Huffman High School, who ended up going to state. Right. And Huffman almost pulled off a doozy down in San Antonio. My point is, on that team, Snoop, that was a young fella named Jace Jones and Jaquez Carter. 2 kids. They both got killed. They both died in the past year. That was not only was their teammates, those were their friends, those were their soulmates, those was their family. And when you are playing and you're donating and you're playing for something, Silsby, the way they make it is because the same reason a lot of the teams from DFW make it. Somehow, and I'll ask you this in a minute, the coach has the unmatched ability to make those kids believe that it truly is them versus the world. And nobody believes in them, and nobody got them but them. Yeah. And they're playing they're playing for the name on the front of that jersey. And it means something. If you got to win, you must win. The guards and everybody before you, that's what they believe from Silsby. Right. They playing for these 2 young boys. And if it's a time that Silsby happens to win on Friday, and Fate Family wins on Friday, and it happens to be a matchup on Saturday, you understand, there's Division I players all over the court, whether it be whatever sport it may be, football and basketball, Power 5 talents. If that game is close, Fate Family players better have something that they're fighting for. Because many of those, it's different. It hits different, Snoop. You know that. And that's why I'm about to toss it to you. When you got players that grew up wishing they could one day put on that uniform that was Dallas Kimball. Now, you've had transfer move in. It's different. You got to kind of get them to buy in and just follow along. Go along with him. But when them kids grew up there, it's something inside of them that they're going to reach and get out that's different that you can't get if you ain't from this area. That don't mean you can't win. I'm talking about if the game is close. If it's close and it's tight, when you got to really reach down inside. That's why I want to ask you, how did you motivate and influence your Dallas Kimball teams collectively, for the most part, to be able to prepare when they got to face guys that you felt it was us against them?
Well, I mean, the thing about it, Coach, Jimmy, everybody, all of these guys is down there. These guys plan to be down there. I'm not saying like they knew they was going to be there. Look at these guys' schedules, man. Like Silsby is there because they have a hell of a coach. Like that's a hell of a coach. He knew I got one of the best players in the state. I got some kids, just like you say, these kids been in the state when they was younger. He know these guys are going to be hungry. And look at his schedule, man. Look at the teams he went off and played. To prepare for this, like Faith Family, their district is not really strong. So, Faith Family, they don't have like this big campus of 1,700 kids or 1,500 kids and stuff. So people are gonna attack their school. So they have to do something to keep their kids and to make their school attractive. They got to go out and play folks. So. And it prepares them for what they're trying to do right now. These people are trying to do one thing. Brandon Thomas do not care about winning 500 games, 400 games, 600 games in his career. Brandon Thomas is counting how many championships they're going to win. That's what he counting. How many championships are we going to win? That's the conversation. So, I get it. That Silvy's going to be playing for something. But I'm going to tell you, if Silvy beat if they beat Faith Family, it's not going to be because they were just playing for something bigger. Because both of them teams is playing for a championship. And I'm just saying, whether regardless if something emotional has happened or whatever, them kids will still be gonna play extremely hard from the time they throw that ball up to the time they take the ball off the court. And guess what? Faith Family gonna do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
So if you're a basketball fan and you're neutral, you hope that game happens because you're going to see some, like you said a few minutes ago, you're going to see some great players on that floor on both teams. You're going to see some guys, you're going to see 2 or 3 guys on that court, or maybe 4, that could potentially play for the next 10 or 12 years of their life, at some point. So, I mean, it's some, man, just look at the roster, man. I mean, it is some superstar coaches down there. I mean, we talk players, but it's some big time coaches down there, man, and some guys that's going, I mean, I wish, I'm going to tell you what I really wish. My dream game in San Antonio, I wish I could see Antoine Thompson and Brandon Thomas play two of the best young coaches going right now. I mean, you look at a guy like Cornelius Mitchell, who kind of been around with us. He didn't kick the door down and got in there. But I mean, I went to that game. I mean, he's playing against another one of those young superstars. Corey Johnson is going to be a great coach over there. I mean, you got guys. Look at Sean Williams up in Prosper. Rocky taking a new school that has nothing and no tradition. And he's making them one of those names. I mean, and Sean he's gonna get one of those jobs one day to where that has some history. Because you get those kind of jobs, you're gonna have the type of kids that you want that want to play for championships. I mean, it's some good coaches out there, man. You got what's the name that played at SMU, Stephen Woods down there. Like them dudes is throwbacks, man. I mean, Steve Woods coached during the season and he coached in the summer. Like these dudes are throwback coaches, and it's time for some of the guys, it's time for some of the Hall of Famers to go to the Hall of Fame. And let some of these next guys, if you don't want to go in there and get in the trenches and continue to fight for these kids and fight for these programs to be great, go on and step away and go to the Hall of Fame. You got to go and let some of these other guys run the ball a little bit. If not, I'm not telling you about you got to drop off because of age. Like I say, if you still got it, do it. But don't just go through the motions, man. The game. I mean, that's what's hurting the game. That's what's hurting the game. These guys that want the game to settle down and slow down for them. These young dudes is hustling, man. They doing the same thing that some of the Hall of Fame coaches did 25, 30 years ago. They doing the same thing. You just a little older right now, and you ain't got that same hustling energy, and you want them to get out the way and slow down a little bit.
I think it's one thing that it is different, and that is, and I was just having a conversation earlier about this topic, and that is back in a lot of the guys from the older generation, a lot of us that were in this position before these young guys came through, and I'll sum it up and I say it might sound blunt, but it is what it is. It's far more of these new boots that are compromised.
Okay.
Back in the old,
you have to educate me on that one.
It's far many of these new guys that got somebody's hand in their pocket, or their hand is in somebody else's pocket, and that wasn't.
That's not the guy. That's not the guys that's winning. I mean, it's been.
No. I'm not talking about coaches. I'm talking about guys on the sidelines, not the coaches. No. When you said new boots, you was talking about the coaches, and I was just talking. I took it, and I was just talking about the guys that's falling through, that's coming through in the media sector, in the amateur media.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry about that. I took the wheel and went sideways with it. That's what I was talking about.
But I'm saying, Jimmy. But I'm saying, Jimmy. It's always been that, and those have been the people who couldn't sustain. That don't you can't sustain that
And
anyway.
exactly.
Dude,
And those that
it's
did back in
always
the
been
days,
that.
those that did back in the days, it was quickly because the run that it was more that was doing it the right way, and that way you got squeezed out of it. Now people that's doing it, the young fellas that's doing it now, they think that has become the norm. It's almost like a guy when I was talking to earlier today gave me this analogy. Everybody got somebody. Well, most people, many people got somebody that's been locked up. Well, back in the older days, there was a code about people that snitched,
Right.
that got locked up.
Right.
You had to, if you got, and they knew you were snitching, you got locked up, you had to go pay the piper if they found out.
That's right.
Nowadays, snitching is so prevalently common that it's almost like, what the hell are you doing if you ain't snitching? If you get in trouble,
Right.
that's the kind of the comparison how the times have changed and people, the morals have changed. Everybody's like, I gotta get mine, and I'm like in my mind, dude, there's 100 ways to go and get milk from the titty of a cow if that's what you're trying to get milk. But if you do this, that way they own you to a degree. You can't trick this basketball. You're gonna go and that's the thing. Everybody's trying to trick it. Everybody wants to get here. Everybody wants to get that. And nobody wants to go and compete. And that's the fundamental element of it. That's the thing.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, what makes everything better is when it's something new. That's I like what Paul. I like what Paul Miranda says when he says something new, something fresh, something different than the rest. See, like it takes that not in age, but it takes that young energy to like make everybody get better. Like make everybody get better. Like, okay, my thing is that let's just say like in this event stuff. See, people like to get comfortable and just let stuff roll on. But what make people great and like blow up is when they got to continue to find ways to reinvent themselves. You know, and I'm just telling you, like in all of this stuff, I ain't gonna do none of it if I can't be competitive in it. You know, if I can't be competitive like with these events and stuff like this, like in 2024, like I'm telling you, they ain't battling with nobody. I'm just sitting there saying, like, I like to be successful. I don't want to fail. I don't like failing. You know, and that's why I'm not coaching high school basketball right now, because I couldn't give college high school basketball what it really deserves. Not from a coaching standpoint, you know, because I don't want to be the next Robert Hughes, and I don't care about being a Hall of Fame and all that. I just want to win. The years I was there, I want to win championships. You know, I want to win championships. When I left, I want people to I wanted to leave my mark to where you can't stop. When you talk about Texas high school basketball, Snoop Johnson will always be in the store. That's it. That's it. I don't, I ain't the GOAT. I can tell you some goats. I mean, I can break down some goats for you. Mobley is a goat. He is a goat. In this game right now. People might not say it. I mean, Farron Douglas finna go win number 4. All he did was just win.
Who's gonna win this 6A, Snoop?
Man, you know what? Plano East is scary. Man, they scary. They like if you just do on the tape, like they're scary if you're a basketball coach. It's scary because you trying to figure it out. You trying to figure it out. Now the one thing about it, I'm hoping that we're gonna see. I'm hoping we're gonna see Stony Point and Plano East. Because You know, I think Josiah should have been a McDonald's All-American. And since he couldn't be a McDonald's All-American, I think just like you were just talking about that edge, I think he gonna go on the show. He gonna leave his mark by putting the show on the biggest stage in Texas. You know, but then you got David Green. You got David Green over there. That's a GOAT. David Green is a GOAT. I mean, how many schools did David Green won a state championship? You know, see, that's the thing. You got coaches. It's not about winning the state. You got coaches that had a good group, and let's just say you might have won 2 out of 3 years, and that's your 2 championships. But it was with that group. But how many guys have won with clean that group out and another group? Like David Green didn't won at North Shore. He didn't. I mean, like Bowman, you know. I mean, like he got it. He got it. You know. I mean, like I said, that's one of them dudes that should be still coaching because it don't never get old. That dude is still trying to go get it. You know, he trying to go get it. He ain't cheating. He's not cheating the game. He's not cheating the game. You don't see David Green walking around with 3 or 4 rings all on his fingers, you know, every time so he can show people how many championships. You know how many championships. Just go to San Antonio and get one of the programs and stroll through there, and all you gonna look up is, damn, that was him. Damn, that was him. He was there too. Like the UIL, they gonna make sure that you know the history. You know, so. Like, man, that's what we want to see, man. We don't. I mean, that's what's ruining basketball. It's not these young dudes trying to trick the game. You know, it's some of these dudes that's older that just want you to slow down and do it their way. You know, and you hear these guys running around talking about, man, these kids are crew. These kids are doing this. These kids are doing that. Man, please. These dudes working. These dudes sitting in the gym, and these parents sitting over there saying, I want my kid to play for him. I don't want him playing for your lazy butt, because I want to play for him because he getting his kids in school. They up there lifting weights, they running, they hooping, they getting better. I see him at the AAU team. He working for his kids. That's what I want my kids to play for. So all that other stuff, they going on all that. You know, these young dudes gonna keep the game fresh. They gonna keep the game right.
But that's definitely this weekend. Of course, last but not least, 5A. Who's your pick for 5A?
Well, my daughter is a varsity cheerleader at Lancaster High School. Farron Douglas is one of my good friends and one of them dudes that I battled with for years that still got that energy, still got that drive. He ain't one of the dudes that's holding the game back. He should coach 5 or 10 more years, you know, because it don't never get old. And I'm gonna go with Farron because Farron is a better coach today than he was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, he educates himself. He sits in the clinics and keep learning. I watch him. He look like a total different team sometimes than I used to coach against. Like when you recreate yourself like that, you getting better, man. You know, you getting better. And you know, I gotta go with Farron. You know, I gotta go with them Lancaster Tigers.
Well, what I'm gonna do is, I'll ride with you on Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be the only one that DFW win this weekend.
Okay. So okay, let's go back. You said 6A.
Stony Point gonna take that one, because Beaumont United's their key spark plug is injured.
Who's playing who on the 6A opening night? What's the matchup?
Well, you got Beaumont United playing Stony Point.
Whew. And Plano East is playing against Cornelius?
Yeah. Let me double check that.
I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm gonna tell you this. Keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on that Lake Ridge Plano East game. Keep your eye on that game. It might not be a Plano East Stony Point game. Keep your eye on that Lake Ridge game.
Hold on 1 second. Let me pull it up right now.
I mean, it's just,
here we go. Yeah, Beaumont United, Stony Point, Lake Ridge, and Plano East. And, you know, I think with Coach Mitchell, He's a great preparer and a student of the game. Love him. We turned many corners. You know, he's playing with house money right now. Even in a loss, all they can do is just don't go up there and just don't lay a goose egg. If they compete, which I know he's going to have his kids ready to compete, then they're going to be okay. It's almost like sometimes when you're in Little League and you lose, and the team that loses the game still, they go eat better at McDonald's than the team that won. So they're playing with house money.
Yeah.
The Beaumont United game, many people around the state don't understand, and rightfully so. They're, you know, it ain't their job to conceal, or to disclose the nature of the injury for their star player. But he got injured in the fourth quarter of the last game, and he had to go to the emergency room, and there was blood and bones involved in that injury, allegedly. So, that was visible. I don't know the outcome. I'm not telling you what the nature of it is now, but at the time and at the location, people could see blood in regard to one of his hands.
I tell you one thing, David Green, I mean, you talking about using stuff to motivate. I mean, David Green is one of those big time motivators. You know, I mean, he's not going to allow his guys to have an excuse. He's going to remind them before the game that we not making any excuses.
No, that's the case. Good to realize. We mentioned about Silsby.
Yeah.
Now, Beaumont United is similar to the Faith family. I mean, their core has been to the state tournament and won as ninth graders. With Terrence Arsenault hit the miraculous 3-pointers, one to go in overtime and one to win the game. So these guys were in ninth grade then.
Oh, yeah.
That's Cade Dotson and Clarence Paye. Dotson, they're going to New Mexico and Louisiana Tech, respectively.
David Green has been to the state 3 out of the last 4 years?
4 times in a row.
Oh, yeah, he was there last year. That's right.
2 in 5A, 2 in 6A. And so the thing.
How many times have David Green been to the state?
A total, I want to say 6.
That's it?
I want to say 6. I have it written down somewhere in my notes.
When North Shore beat DeSoto that time, he didn't never go with Beaumont Central?
I got it written down somewhere in my notes because I talked. It's somewhere on this desk that I have David Green and his repertoire, his resume listed. This is something I need to take with me, pack that in my bag.
That's the thing about that's the thing when we talk about in my head, I feel like David Green has been 8 or 9 times. So I mean, even if he hadn't gone, that's the consistency of the programs he's coached to where they've had so much playoff success that it feels like it feels like people, a lot of people, literally feel like I won more than 3 championships as a head coach. A lot of people feel like it just feels like I won a lot, more than 3. It feels like because we played in the state championship game 7 times out of 14 years. That's 50%. That's a 50%, 500 bad right there. So it's like every other year you feel like Kim was in the state championship game, but we lost more than we won. We out there like LeBron. But,
and so that's Walter Yates. He gives a tally, and is 4 times at United, once at Hightower, once at Beaumont Central, and once at North Shore. And that's
so what is that, 7?
That's 7 times at state.
I felt like David Green been under 7.
Oh, I was counting. I was thinking about the wins. He had won 3.
Yeah.
He won 3, and so this of course is 3 and 3. This of course is his 4th time now, and like I said, if Cade Dotson was healthy, and health plays a part no matter what sport it is, then it would be hard for me to bet against what's inside, as I explained earlier. They playing for something. It's got something inside of them. They've been there, done that. They know that court. They know the angles. They know the lighting. They know the routine. And that's the thing when I mentioned routine. It's everybody's in San Antonio now. And some teams play on Thursday. Some teams play on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there 4 times. You know what time to go to sleep. Nobody got to tell you when to go lay down, go to bed, close your eyes, or when to make the quiet hour come. You know that by now.
That's right.
You see?
That's right.
Those first timers, they got the jitters. They're just so happy. Everybody's texting them. That you've been there 4 times. You know when to get off your cell phone. If you're a senior by then.
I mean, Coach, that might be the highlight of the night, you know. But I'm just telling you again. The playoffs is about teams getting hot. It's about players getting hot. And I'm telling you, there ain't no better player. It ain't no hotter player in the playoffs right now than Cornelius Mitchell's point guard, Amir. Coach, I'm just telling you, like, he's not T.J. Ford, but he reminds his impact to his team and to playoff games is like T.J. Ford used to be. Like, this kid makes his team feel like they can beat anybody they going up on the floor against. And then he bags it up. Like, literally, he was not a scorer during the year. That was his thing. Everybody was like, you know, if he could shoot the ball, if he could do this, he could do. Like, he ain't trying to lose, man. You know, I think he's been around Cornelius so long, you know, I don't think he wanted to end. You know, just like this kid don't want it to end, man. And that's what it's about. Like, you get these teams who don't want it to end. And that's what it used to be with us. The goal was never, not 1 year at Kemp, we never said our goal was to win the championship. It was always, we want to play in the last game of the year. And now, when we get to that game, we're going to figure it out. But we want to play in the last game of the year. We don't want no more games being played in our classification after we play out. We want that to be the last game of the classification. You know, that's what we want.
And so, Malieve, in closing,
that's what guys in Faith Family. That's what Faith Family are saying to each other every day. Like, those are 3 guys that won champ. You got to realize they got great chemistry as a coaching staff. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got 3 guys that played high school basketball together and won a championship at Kimball. And then you got 3 other guys that been with them since they was at Cedar Hill, and they all moved to Faith Family together. So these guys, they got so much like chemistry and equity that, you know, dude, I'm gonna tell you, man, unless somebody go in there and split that thing up, go. They can move into 5A, 6A, whatever they want. But I'm telling you right now, that guess what, Coach? That train just getting cranked up. And what kills me, I'm sitting around listening to people say, well, it's unfair with what Faith Family got. But I'm saying, like, when you look at the roster and go look at the team, you don't see, like, 4 seniors that's division. I'm like, they got 3 seniors. 3 seniors. They got Big Dorian, and they got Big Dorian, who signed with Colorado earlier. You got Ivy, who signed with Corpus Christi, and you got Lil Jazz, who should be signing somewhere, but he's still outside. And when you leave there, you go over there, you got one junior that's gonna be a Division I player. We're gonna figure out what level coming up, but it ain't like you know, people going crazy yet. You know, we just know he's gonna be a Division I player. But then you got some really good sophomores and freshmen who just waiting their turn and doing their part. But I mean, it's crazy how people don't want to just say like these guys are just elite coaches. You know, you just want to hear them say, man, they got these elite players, man. This dude, like Brandon Thomas is an elite coach. You know, and I'm not just saying that because we play with him. Maybe because I know his makeup, I can speak about him like that. But you know, he gonna put more into this stuff than some of y'all do. His staff gonna put more into this stuff than some of y'all do. When you watch them play, you gonna watch how prepared they are for every situation. You're not gonna see a bunch of crazy timeouts because we wasn't prepared for that. Like, I just want you to take time to embrace some of these dudes coaching. You know, like people looking at this Plano East team, you know, over there, and Coach Webster. I mean, these guys, man, like these guys getting it, man. You know, he's not over there with a loaded team, but Coach, they undefeated in Texas. Think about that. It ain't like they just been running around here just playing, you know, cream puffs. These dudes, they got a chance to be undefeated. Who's the last undefeated team? Yates?
Didn't Beaumont United go undefeated one year?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know Yates was undefeated, and Lancaster was trying to knock them off from that. And guess what? You know, one of the moments that we always talk about, you know, when Young came jogging out the locker room, like he was coming out at Madison Square Garden. You know, hey, you know what? Speaking of that right there, United 31 0. Oh, you know what? It's crazy when we talk about how the fans, you know, go there and pick teams. So you remember when Yates was playing against Lancaster, and everybody wanted to see Lancaster beat Yates. You can feel it in the atmosphere. I know you felt, you know, feeling that. So they you know, it was like the fans was ready to cheer, but then when Young came out the locker room, was it Joe Young? Okay, little Joe Young came out the locker room. It's like the crowd shifted.
Yeah.
So my thing is this, because we quick to just say everybody's hating and they want to see you lose. So is it people hating? Is it people hating and want to see a team lose, or is it people going to the state and they looking for the best story?
That's evidence. Most people understand. The neutral people. Those are fans that might be at the game before, but they stand for the next game, and they don't have a dog in the fight, and they've heard about one player or the other player, and let me see what he rocking with, and we watch and we rooting. If the team is, most people that's nominal are going to gravitate towards David and not Goliath in battles, and that's what you see down there. That's why it's so shifty. And you mentioned that one game, Yates. The crowd was not with Yates. Yates went up on those guys big time, and then they squandered the lead. And in doing so, people rooted for Lancaster. They rooted for them, and the momentum was with them, and you just felt, because Yates had their own built-in crowd. They didn't need much help. Trust me. That game set the record for the highest attendance ever to see a high school game involving a high school. I would just say it because Glenn Smith at the Dallas Mavericks or at the arena, that kind of, I think that eclipsed it. But that was not a high school UIL game. Well, you know what I'm saying? That was a different event. So at a UIL game, put it like this, because you ain't gonna see that at a regular season game. At the playoffs, that was the most attendance ever. And so that means that place, it was the Irwin Center at the time.
Right.
It was rocking. Greg Wise has a book coming out next year dedicated to that season. He has written most of the book. And his timing is right, because Greg is probably about to land the plane on his career, you know, and on his coaching career. And as I mentioned, Greg Wise would be, if I thought about coaches right now that's active in Greater Houston, in that, and I'm gonna toss it to you, and we'll land this plane so I can go. I gotta go put them crab legs and heat them up now and get them on so I can go and lay it down. But here's the thing: our active Mount Rushmore of boys active, that's the key, active high school coaches. In Greater Houston, it is so very easy to me. Simply, we just gonna start with, it's no particular order, but since we talked about Greg Wise, he's on the active Mount Rushmore. There's 4 coaches in this area that they all have something in common. You mentioned Ronnie Courtney a while ago. He's on that list. He's an active Mount Rushmore. Ronnie Courtney, 3 state championships, Hall of Fame. They put him in the Hall of Fame while he's still coaching.
Right, still coaching.
Right? Okay, so that's 2. David Green is the 3rd one. Yep. David Green on the active Mount Rushmore. We just said he had 3 state championships as well. 7 state tournament appearances. 3 different schools, 4 different schools he's taken to the state tournament. David Green is on the active Mount Rushmore. Last but not least, technically, because we'll count this season that just concluded, but his season is ended, but technically he's still the coach. And that is Andre Boutte, Sr. from Beaumont Westbrook. That's our Mount Rushmore of active coaches. All 4 of those guys have over 800 wins apiece.
Wow. That's a good number.
Right now. Now, who's your active Mount Rushmore in DFW?
The crazy thing about what you just said, if you went and did a Mount Rushmore on active or retired coaches, you might have could have got 2 of them guys off that list. Might have could have made the state Mount Rushmore.
Say it again.
You might have had if we would have said active or even retired coaches. If we put together a Mount Rushmore of active and retired, like some of these guys got resumes. Now we get it, sometimes we're not gonna let people pass our heroes. We don't let people pass our heroes because you came after them. But some of these guys you just named off, dude. I mean, what would Ronnie Courtney be if Ronnie Courtney never went to TSU? So you got to realize.
You mean went to TSU as a head coach?
As a head coach.
Yeah. He played at McMurray.
He went to TSU as a head coach.
And went to the NCAA tournament. He won the conference. So he's the only coach in the history of this state that has won a state championship and a Division I conference championship.
Coach Ronnie Courtney is the greatest coach to come through Houston. He's the greatest coach.
Well, in modern day history, because in Houston terms, there's one guy that everybody, that's like in DFW. In DFW, you can't. Everybody's going to in today's society, they're going to pay homage and give it to Robert Hughes Sr. as the greatest in that area. A lot of people will. No?
Well, I don't know about that. I think you might hear that nationally, but you got to realize when you're talking Dallas, we talking championships. We talking championships. Now, let me tell you this. This is the reason. I know a lot of times we talk about championships and winning and this, that, and that. I'm saying the reason Robert Hughes is the GOAT is because all of the guys behind him, they mimicked him. They wanted to. They took some stuff away from him. Like they took how distinguished Robert Hughes was on that sideline. When you saw Robert Hughes suited and booted and distinguished, you saw Paul Grant, you saw the Gorby Johnsons in the Dallas area, you saw Jimmy Gale, rest in peace, former sock coach. Them guys, they saw Robert Hughes, and Robert Hughes was an example of when those young coaches came up. That was the example of what that coach was supposed to be, right there. The reason a guy like me, the reason I can speak highly of a guy like Ronnie Courtney, because I was a big fan of Ronnie Courtney.
But Robert Hughes won. Didn't he win? Didn't Robert Hughes win 5 state titles?
Huh?
How many state titles he won?
Well, I think he won one at Dunbar, but I think he won at our return. you know, at the PVIL.
PVIL. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so
Now,
now down here, let me tell you a name.
wrong.
Snoop, there's one name in
Dumbo
Houston.
wasn't no stranger.
There's
Dumbo
one.
wasn't no stranger to Austin.
Who?
He kept him now. Robert Hughes kept. They
Yeah.
appearances down.
I understand. Over 1,300 wins.
You say, Robert Hughes is the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
Now, here's the thing. In Houston, in Houston, there's one coach who didn't understand. Robert Hughes coached damn near 50 years.
Right.
And in 50 years, understand. You know, I respect. I mean, he's the measuring stick. However, there was a guy in Houston that only coached 23 years. And in 23 years, he won 13 state championships.
Wow.
He's the GOAT down here. And you guys, that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at you guys, y'all, some of y'all, and that's why, you know, you can get educated. And I'm going to give you this, and as we land, let me remember this. I'll say it again. He coached 23 years, and then he got a job because he had won so much, which was smart, right at integration, and they gave him a college job. He took the head job in a college, and he went to the college ranks and never came back. He coached 23 years, I say it again, and won 13 state titles. And the first two of those state titles, Snoop, let me tell you something. That's why it goes into Black history. Because those first two was the first 2 years of integration. That's why I won't forget it, because you can, I would like I was there. I won't forget it, me learning that and being able to share that. There's the first 2 years of integration. And if you any state, you can imagine how it was back in those days, 1968 and 69. I was born in 68. So that's why I can relate to those, to that number. Just it saturates in my soul. Understand? That's the first year you had to go on the road and play against these all-white schools in the postseason. Get your buses rocked. Get death threats, get traumatized, and you still were able to come out. His name was Colin Briggs. Coach Briggs was at Wheatley High School, Phyllis Wheatley High School in Houston. 23 years, he won 13 state championships. Now understand, what I won't do is I won't allow, not saying nobody did, but I won't, I invite you guys to do homework on the PVIL. That was the black folk version of the UIL before integration. We could not play with UIL. That's the only reason we didn't win UIL state titles. We meaning a lot of the black schools. And back then, the talent was more saturated. There was no ninth grade. If your ass was in the ninth grade, you were at a junior high school during those days. You didn't have a chance. You couldn't play varsity in the ninth grade. If you were blessed if you were a 10th grader back then and played on varsity. You were blessed. You were special back in those days. Colin Briggs, you know what his assistant coach name was? When he laid it down in 1969 after that season? Was Jackie Carr. So Jackie Carr took the reins at Wheatley in that 69-70 season or whatnot, 1970-ish, and went on, had a young kid named Eddie Owens that was coming through the pipe and won. And in that year, you have to realize, it's a whole nother topic we can go on this. I don't want to go too deep in this. You guys get it. But Colin Briggs, Collin Briggs, Briggs.
Hey, Jimmy, answer this right quick for me, and we might have to get Big Doug to help us with this. Who was the coach at Port Arthur Lincoln when they was? I mean, like I know Blue Jay had his run in there, but I'm saying like
that was James Gamble. James Gamble.
Coach Gamble.
Yeah.
Coach Gamble.
Yeah, James Gamble was a guy. Yeah, James Gamble. He won 4 state titles in the 80s.
Coach Gamble
with Port Arthur Lincoln High School, 4 state titles in the 80s. He and you know he had a good run.
Coach Gamble.
And he's just understand he's unparalleled. He's a measuring stick down there in Port Arthur.
He's the measuring stick.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody
He's
kisses the pinky finger down there.
He should get. Bro, he's a measuring stick in Greater Houston. He's a measuring stick across the state of Texas. Like James Gamble is one of those. Like what Port Arthur Lincoln did in a 15-year span and further, as long as Port Arthur Lincoln was around, like the state of Texas, everybody emulated, like, man, this is what dominance is right here. This is dominance. This is dominance. And like that's a goat. James, I mean, that's one of the.
Oh man, that's and don't get it twisted. I said Jackie Carr's name a while ago as though he was like, third fiddle. Jackie Carr was the he was the limb off the tree of Colin Briggs, and Jackie Carr took it over at Wheatley and won. And when he won, I think 3 state titles, but Coach Carr won so much and used that style. Remember, Colin Briggs was using that style already, but people in the UIL had not seen it. And remember, it was only to recent years, guys, that you have to realize the UIL only recently that they just started acknowledging the PVIL record books along with theirs. Kind of like when Major League Baseball said around the time when they started acknowledging the Negro League's records along with theirs. This is so at that time, then it became okay for some to engage in the conversations. But this is our history. These guys existed. And if you look at some of the photos, when you go to some of these high schools, if you're ever fortunate enough to do so, you will see their physique and their body, how they would understand. They wore Chuck Taylors or less than canvas shoes while they were doing this with 4, 5, 6 pairs of socks. That was the ankle support back in those days. These guys here didn't have to, they ate peanut butter jelly sandwiches 2-3 times a day, and their bodies were made, and they don't like us to watch, and they don't like to show those physiques to these other kids because it's so much of the foods that they eat nowadays are so unnatural. Those guys were natural. Listen, man, think about it like this. Ask your grandparents, if you young people watching right now, ask them, there was Achilles injury? So these guys, you're wearing $200 sneakers, and every other month, somebody's going down with a knee injury or an Achilles injury, tearing up their ankle, doing this. Man, guys back then, they got back then. No, if you tweak your ankle, that dude came out and played 2 days later with an ace bandage on his leg and kept on rocking. Nobody made him do it. It was just one of the things to do. But why are we having so many injuries now versus then? They played on concrete back then most of the time. You don't play on concrete at all nowadays. You jokers play on wood all the time.
Hey, you can look at you right now and look how you done revved up. You can tell that era had a serious impact on you. Cause you done revved up. Look at you done revved up.
It's just that we cease to teaching these 30-year-old guys about that, and they don't want to listen. So somehow we got to encourage them to be those young guys in your 30s to want to know your history. You should want to know how it was.
You're right about that.
I remember when I was young, I wanted to know what the hell a reel-to-reel was. It wasn't part of my era. Yeah. The people before us used the reel-to-reel when they went to the military. They got the reel-to-reels. They played music on that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the real. If you had one in your house, you was almost uppity. Back when I was a little kid, you had a reel-to-reel. Yeah. You want to ask questions.
Yeah.
You don't, and that's part of the thing, the disconnect from these young boys.
But I'm saying, Jimmy, this is what I'm saying. Like you one of the perfect people that enough of these young guys respect, like, you know, get with a couple of your peers. You got a lot of relationship with people and host something like that. You know, host stuff like that. I mean, maybe pick a month out or a Thursday, every Thursday on the Chop Shop or Monday on the Chop Shop. You give them a piece of history. Dude, if you watch these coaches closely and pay attention to them, like you can tell who they looked up to in coaching. You look at their style, you can look at their mannerisms. Like, I go to the games, I know the impact I made on the game because I look at guys and they don't have to come tell me that they was a fan of my style. I look at their coaching style, and I'm looking at them like that dude right there. He ain't trying to beat me. He just taking a part of me and doing him. But I did the same thing. I did the same thing. That's why certain guys I can talk passionate about because I've watched them, and I had a great coach in my house, my dad, but he wasn't the only one. I looked at guys like Richard Bacon. You got a guy like Rob Wright that's right there coaching right now at DeSoto that he got me energized, and Rob gonna do some good big things over there right now. Rob is a guy that I looked up to as a young coach. I saw him. He was taking the mantle and taking the game. I saw where guys like my daddy and some of the older coaches that was around there, they wasn't embracing Rob. Rob made those guys say, "Hey, y'all gonna either change to stay with me, or I'm gonna run past y'all." And guess what? That's what made them great. Gorey Johnson won his first 2 championships competing against Rob Wright. Competing against Rob Wright. He changed status quo. Rob Wright made people. These guys, these younger guys that's getting ready you either gonna retire or you gonna figure it out.
So
that's what make you great. That's what make you great.
well said. Of course, that's legendary Snoop Johnson. Before we got you go, Snoop. You can't sneak up out of here without giving you that. You see at the bottom what Corey said? Let me slide over by you. So right up under you so you can read what he just said. Look what he said. You got to get come on, we waiting.
Oh, y'all already know I was down here. Now Mobley only been with y'all for a year, so we're gonna keep Mobley.
He's still active. He's active. We get yeah.
And we're gonna keep him in Dallas because we got Mobley's on that list.
Okay, Damian Mobley.
Farron Douglas is on that list.
Okay, Coach Douglas.
James Mays is on that list.
Oh, James Mays.
And David Peavy.
Okay, y'all heard it first. That goes Snoop's. Snoop's gave his active Mount Rushmore from DFW. Now, guess what? Just in case somebody want to just say, well, Mobley gone now. He shouldn't have left us. He went to Houston. Who would replace him? Who would be the alternate?
Man, it would have to be Rob. It'd have to be Rob Wright to me.
So Rob go over Brandon?
Oh, God damn.
Huh?
I'm caught up on Brandon. Coach, rewind the tape.
Come on.
No. I'm so caught up on Brandon. Them just climbing right now. It's just starting. It's just rolling right. Brandon is right there at the top of the list. It's Brandon.
Okay.
Peavy, it's Brandon, Peavy, Farron, and May.
Okay. All right. There you have it. And of course.
Yeah, May. Yeah, Brandon. Like Brandon, you talking about when you talking about like Brandon and Peavy. They probably the 2 top coaches in the state right now.
It's a lot
I mean,
lot
Brandon,
of educators, man. A lot of educators. Well, Snoop, let me tell you something.
Brandon. Yeah, who would you add in there? Maybe David Green.
Oh, you talking about in the state?
I'm talking about the hottest coaches in the
Well, I
last,
mean, Green 4 years in a row. 4 years in a row, you can't. You
That's
know,
what I'm
four,
saying.
4 years in a
That's what
row,
I'm
you
saying.
can't.
You talking about,
You can't do anything short of paying attention to 4 years in a row. Period.
yeah, you talking,
And
about.
that's they. 4 years in a row is 4 years in a row, and you've won two of those. So, at the worst case scenario, he would not have a losing record. Well, I'm talking about in regards to Beaumont United. In regards to Beaumont United. But look at Snoop. I had a whole jug of this water.
Man, I enjoyed it.
I done drunk half this jug of water. What you think at my age, what you think happening my leg doing right now? I'm over here doing the Watusi in this chair right now. Man, I gotta get up out of here, man, and go.
Hey, man. Hey, and I know you probably talked about it. Let's go about 30 seconds right now, and I'm excited about the happy hour tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes. I'm excited about teaming up with some great guys with you and Lupe and Glenn Smith and with the happy hour tomorrow. What's the name of the place? What's the name of the place we have it at?
The name of the place on tomorrow is called the Social Spot, and that's 930 Broadway Street, right near the not far from the Alamo Dome.
Right.
It's called the Social Spot. That's between the sessions. That's from 4 o'clock to 7 p.m. on Thursday. 4 to 7 is the happy hour. That's, of course, it's Lupe Nunez, Snoop Johnson, Glenn Smith, and myself, Jim Hicks. You guys can come and fellowship with us. And they have drinks, they have social consumption specials for all of you guys that wish to come and hang out between games. The 7 o'clock is when the 5A sessions start. Some of you guys will be watching the Hitchcock at 3, and that game will be over probably about 4:15, 4:20ish. Then you come on, slide over and fellowship with us at the Social Spot on Broadway up in San Antonio tomorrow. And also, you come there, then we have special passes for the Friday night function. That's you got to be invited to that. So we got special passes for that if you come to the place on Thursday. Meanwhile, we have to go and get up out of here. There's some good stuff we're gonna ask you guys.
Jimmy, you mean on Friday?
Yeah.
Get a special. Yeah, if you get the text message with the invite. Yeah,
Yes.
on Friday. That's
Yes.
Friday night.
On Friday, that's Friday. That's absolutely
Friday
correct.
night.
And I see Clyde Jackson. He has his big event in Alabama this weekend. Shout out and safe travels to the team that are going to Alabama. I think it's in Birmingham, if I'm not mistaken. Also, I see Doug Jones. He's already made it to San Antonio. Him and Fat Cat, and they're down there. And so I see Kevin Freightman. He's down there. He's ready to rock. Everybody be down there. And I see Wesley Yates Jr. And
Hey man, Freight, you seen that mansion Freight got over there? Freight got him an Airbnb over there, man.
I ain't saw it yet, but he told me about it. He told me he has a.
Freight might have a party. You might have a party. Freight might have a Saturday party.
No. Freight ain't have no party. Freight, Mama there right there with Freight. Ain't no party going. He gonna have a different type of party. They gonna slumber party. That's what they gonna have. That's what kind of party gonna have. And so.
Hey Jimmy, I enjoyed it, and let's do this. Let's plan on. We're gonna have a bunch of fun over there in San Antonio, but once we sober up and settle down, let's come back and talk about what we saw over the weekend sometime next week.
All right, man, that'll be it, man. Of course, you guys make sure you share the show. Before logging off, share the show to your platforms and give something to talk about. Maybe educate somebody. In that way, they can be able to learn about a lot of the topics we covered, as well as you miss Snoop's picks for the state tournament. He said it earlier in the show, but we got to get up out of here now. And
Who did I pick? Hey,
you picked Faith Family. You picked Faith Family. You picked Lancaster.
Yeah.
No.
I mean Lancaster.
Yes, and then in 6A, you went with Plano East. You said you went with a straight Dallas ticket.
Look here. I'm gonna flip a coin and I'm gonna put it on Twitter. I won't make my pick on 6A until after the semifinals.
Okay, there you go. I already told you.
I'm real close. I'm real close to saying Cornelius Mitchell. I'm real close. I gotta sleep on it.
Okay, they got to win one for you win two. So we're gonna let you. We're gonna give you that.
Hey, guess what? Everybody else over there got to win 1-2 before they win 2. So he ain't the only one.
There you go. Mention my man.
They got to do the same thing he got to do.
And truth be told, he's going to be the story. So everybody's going to be coming there wanting to see Plano East lose their first game of the season. So don't get it twisted. He's going to have more fans than not. There's not a lot of history at his high school, but there's going to be people that are going to be wishing for them for Mansfield Lake Ridge to pull off the win. We'll see what happens, and you guys get there. But make sure we finna get up out of here though. I gotta get over. Hey, listen. I got my emergency brakes on right now. Rotors got to get turned and everything. Let me get the hell up out of here. I'm gone. Y'all see you guys in San Antonio.
Yep.